Welcome to Know This Live. I'm Zinhle Essamuah. Today, I'm joined by Gina Raimondo, the Secretary of the Commerce Department. Secretary Raimondo will have a critical role in getting the economy back on track after the pandemic, and will be working with President Biden to get his infrastructure plan passed. She joins me now. Secretary, thank you for being here.
Great to be with you. Good morning.
Good morning. And I want to jump in with a question a lot of Americans have. When many people think about infrastructure, they think of brick and mortar. You say that it's more than that. It's not just brick and mortar. Why? What is infrastructure to you?
Yeah, thank you. So I think we need to modernize our view of infrastructure. And infrastructure is investments that pay off over a long period of time, that increase productivity and help us get people back to work. And so some of that is brick and mortar, as we traditionally think of roads, bridges, schools. It also includes broadband, which is a necessary utility. And it also includes investments in job training, um, investments in our crumbling systems that underpin the care economy, home care workers. These are all investments that they require kind of one-time investments in systems, which will pay off over a long period of time in enhancing people's ability to work and get decent paying jobs.
And you referenced the care economy. I know that's something you've been vocal about. And for those unfamiliar, that's essentially making sure that our children and our seniors are taken care of. What does that have to do with jobs and infrastructure?
Well, it's impossible to go to work and be productive if you have an elderly loved one that needs to be taken care of at home, or if you have a child that needs to be taken care of. And by the way, this particularly affects women. Women have fallen out of the workforce in COVID in record numbers. And some of that is because they are home taking care of an elderly mom, dad, grandma, or a disabled person in their family, or a child when child care centers closed. And so that is like basic infrastructure, systems that exist in America to take care of folks as they age so that, people can go into the workforce and be productive. And that's such common sense. How could you hold a job down if you don't have good care for your loved ones? The other thing is, in America, when folks get older, forever we just have been putting them in nursing homes. Extremely expensive and not always the right place for somebody to be. So when we talk about the care economy, we're talking about that workforce of people, mostly women, who are healthcare workers who take care of our loved ones in their homes. And frankly, there are tens of millions of women, mostly women of color, doing those jobs, making so little money that they're working full time and are in poverty. So, training those women, providing decent wages for them through our Medicaid system is basic infrastructure in our care economy.
And I know in President Biden's $2.2 trillion infrastructure plan, that has been proposed. But Republicans have countered this, saying, let's do a $600 billion plan. Do you think that goes far enough?
Well, first, I would say it gives me great optimism that the Republicans have come back with a proposal. It shows government is working. That's the way government should work. The president put out his ideas. Republicans have come back with their ideas. That is a good thing, and they should be commended for that. Now we take what they have presented and get to the work of negotiating and finding compromise. No, 600 billion isn't enough, but that's a starting place. Let's take them on it's a good faith effort by them. Let's take that and negotiate from it.
And in the vein of compromise, I wonder how you feel about the approach of splitting the American Jobs Plan into two bills for bipartisan support.
So I would say the president has been really clear with us on this point. He wants as much bipartisan support as possible. He's directed us to work as hard as possible to get bipartisan support. The important thing is that we deliver for the American people, whether it's one bill or two bills. I'm pretty sure Americans aren't sitting around asking, is this going to be done in one bill or two bill or three bills? They're saying, when are you going to get it done? When are you going to fix our crumbling infrastructure? Help us get decent job training to get a good job. Help, right now, because General Motors and Ford can't get their hands on enough semiconductors, they have closed factories and put thousands of people out of work temporarily. So those folks who are on furlough, they don't care if we get this done in two bills, three bills, or one bill. They want to get back to work. And so I think, we're anxious to deliver and eager to get as much bipartisan support as we can on as much of it as we can.
And I know that at President Biden's climate summit this week, he said that a big component of the infrastructure plan is climate. And for many, they need to know, how do you see climate and infrastructure fitting together?
As they fit together. As governor, I used to hear all the time, climate change takes jobs away. Caring about climate change. They would say to me, what do you care about, climate change or jobs? And to that I say, when I hear climate change, I think jobs. If we do this right, we will both make America more resilient and reduce our carbon emissions and put people to work. EV charging stations, completely changing our infrastructure in America so it reduces carbon emissions, relies more on sources of clean and renewable energy. That's what we need to do in order to address climate change. By the way, those are all new jobs that we will create. And we need to train people to have the skills they need to get those new jobs. And that's not just theory. I did that as governor. I saw that on the ground in my state. It's an awesome thing to see people who were out of work, trained and put back to work, erecting offshore wind turbines, which is what we did in Rhode Island. It's fantastic. It's the cleanest energy you can have, and we created thousands of jobs. Good, high-paying union jobs.
And as you talk about jobs in your time in Rhode Island, I want to make sure our viewers know that you were the former governor of Rhode Island. And when you were campaigning, the state had some of the highest unemployment rates in the nation. You turned that around in part thanks to infrastructure in that plan. Are there programs or policies that you instituted in Rhode Island that we can expect to see now on the national level?
Yes, thank you for bringing that up. Actually, we have the highest unemployment rate in the country for most of the time I ran for governor. Well, and we invested in infrastructure. Right now, all across Rhode Island, there are thousands of people working, rebuilding decaying roads, bridges, and schools. As I just said, we became the first state in America to have an offshore wind farm, which created many jobs. And we really leaned into job training and apprenticeships. And the president is calling for us to have 1 million new apprenticeships in America. And when you hear the word apprenticeship, you might be thinking plumber, pipe fitter, electrician, and that's all good. But I also want you to be thinking software engineer, cybersecurity analyst, tech jobs. We need to expand our view of apprenticeships to get folks decent paying jobs, even if they don't have a college degree. And so that we did a lot of that in Rhode Island, and I'm excited to work on that part of the president's agenda.
And quickly, I know in addition to that work, you also oversee the Census Bureau. A bipartisan group of lawmakers has been pushing back, saying that we need to push back the reporting deadline for delivery of results of the census. Is that the right move, in your opinion?
We've said we'll have the data released by the end of September 30th at the latest. That's delayed, and I'm sorry it's delayed, but last year was a tough year to collect data, and we have to get it right. Better to be accurate and have to have a delay than rush it and not be accurate. It's too important. The data is too important.
And I want to end simply just knowing, what are your top priorities during your tenure as Commerce Secretary?
get as many Americans back to work as possible with a focus on decent paying jobs and a particular focus on women and people of color who have been for far too long shut out of opportunities in the workforce, struggle to have access to capital for their small businesses, and who have been particularly hurt during COVID. And so everything I'm going to work on, whether that's investments or manufacturing, export promotion, job training, on and on and on, will be that. Like, if at the end of this time I've played my part in getting millions of Americans back to work in decent paying jobs and fundamentally made our economy more equitable, then I will have done a pretty good job.
Well, Gina Raimondo, Secretary of the Commerce Department, will be watching your work closely. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Have a good day.
You too, and thanks to everyone for watching. This has been KnowThis Live. I'm Zinhle Essamuah.